Hi there, I'm back again with another review, and this time it's for Kill the Messenger by Tammy Hoag. In this book, we meet a bike messenger, and he is about to leave his shift for the day. And then the dispatch told him, there's one last call, and pretty much begs him to take the call to make a delivery. Now she's an mature motherly type that runs the office, so when she asked him to do the favor, he went ahead and like okay, grudgingly agreed to do it. So anyway, so he went to deliver it. He was supposed to make the delivery to an attorney's office, but then when he got there, the guy was dead. And then, he was looking around, touching stuff like he shouldn't be doing. But anyway, it seemed like the guy who had done it was still there. And so he ended up getting chased by this guy because apparently what he was going to deliver was something that the guy wanted. And that was the reason that, it seemed that he had killed the guy for it. So when he ended up escaping, he was being chased by the guy, but luckily for him, he had taped the package to himself. So in the process of getting chased, the guy yanked his messenger bag because he thought that would be carrying the stuff, but he had it taped to his body. So he got the bag, but he didn't really get the item that he was trying to get. So anyway, so he head back home. It's really late, and he is a little background on him. He and his little brother, they're pretty much orphans. His mom died when he was really young, and so he's taking care of his younger brother. And so when his mom died, he ended up in Chinatown. So he was a non-Asian person living in Chinatown and was pretty much adopted by this Chinese family. So he was taking care of his brother. He went home. The adopted grandpa, was taking care of him. And so he was really mad that he got home so late. But anyway, he was there. But he decided, because of what was going on, he had to get out of there. So he left and left his brother in the care of, the adopted family. So he wanted to figure out like, what was really going on. He wanted to hide out. But anyway, so he went and asked he went back to the office, and the lady, Ada, who was the office manager, he had asked her for help. And so she had told him to swing by the office. She was hiding out in the back of his car, so she went back to the office to get him some money. But anyway, while he was hiding out in the back of the car waiting for her to come back out, some police officers came by. And so he thought maybe she had set him up, and so he left. And so when she was radioing him like, where are you, come on, I got this money for you, he wasn't answering. So the attorney that got killed has this daughter, and so he went to her to kind of get some answers as to why the dad was killed or why people are chasing him around. So he felt like maybe she knew something about it, but she had been called by someone to let her know that her dad had died. And how would that person have known, because the police hadn't informed her if that person wasn't the killer? But anyway, when he went to her apartment, the apartment was ransacked. And this poor kid has such bad luck that when he went there looking to talk to her, it seemed like the person who had ransacked the apartment was still there this time again. And so he got beaten up, in the bathroom. And so the daughter came back while he was still there, and he was trying to get her to calm down. He put his hand over her mouth, and she was trying to scream, but he's trying to talk rationally to her to let her know that he wasn't the one who did it. But the police seem to think that he was the one because he's the one who's missing from the equation in the process of them doing their investigation. So while she was there and was hoping for him to calm down, of course she didn't. She freaked out because she thought he was the killer. And then the neighbors heard her screaming, and of course he had to get out of there. So anyway, there was this one cop who was doing an investigation. His name was, I believe it was Parker, and so he was trying to get in touch with him. He was asking around the job to see who this guy was, who the messenger was, because ultimately they landed on him. Well, nobody at the office really knew him per se. They didn't really have a number on file for him. They didn't really have an address on file for him. And he was pretty much a loner. He talked to the people in the office, but really didn't really have any friends there. So, there was another set of policemen who were coming around. So he didn't really trust them because he didn't know, he think that maybe they might be involved because this attorney was kind of crooked. So he didn't really trust the police anyway, just based on his history and growing up and encounters that they had in the past with the police. So in the process of them doing the investigation, they found out where he lived. Because he had borrowed his adopted grandmother's, I guess, grandmother's vehicle, and so he had crashed into something. He sideswiped something, and then they ended up figuring out the vehicle and got back to her, and they showed up there in Chinatown asking about him. So while the detective was there, one of the family members, he was younger guy who was had some developmental problems, and they were asking if they knew him, but his adopted mom or surrogate mom was saying no, he doesn't know, she doesn't know who he is, and everybody was claiming silence. But this guy, because he didn't know better, was saying he knew him. And so also at that time his little brother came around, and so the police kind of saw the resemblance, kind of figured out this was where he was. So, in the process of doing the investigation, also they realized that there were some dirty cops on the force, and they were tied up into the death of the attorney. And so this other guy, who was actually the good guy, was trying to help, to save him, but he didn't trust him. And so, after a while, he had talked to the little brother, got the little brother to talk to him, and so they set up a plan to get to the guys who wanted it turned out to be some negatives or some bad dealings. And so the guy who was trying to get the negative, so they had a plan to get him out, to draw him out to come and try to get the negative, and then also to get him arrested. So they worked together ultimately in the end, to get that set up. And so those guys ultimately were caught, and in the end it was really sweet because they ended up being kind of friendly. And then the policeman who ended up solving the case, he knew some high powered people. A good friend of his was a movie director. And so he decided he was going to give them a break because of course they were orphans, they had no dad, their mom had died, they were living with a surrogate parent. And so it was really sweet that he talked to his friend, and they were gonna, the whole experience that he went through, he was going to talk to the director about possibly putting it into a movie. So it had a really, really sweet ending, but it was really interesting. A lot of action if you love action type of books. A good solid 4.5 on this one. I really, really enjoyed it. So if you have read or listened, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time.